What I want to talk to you about today is I want to tell you a little bit about my story. And really, this isn't about me, it's really about you. But hopefully, by me telling you a little bit about my story, you will be able to see yourself in me, and then you will be able to decide whether this resonates with you or not. Okay? Okay. And I have a really great announcement for you guys. Okay. So as you know, I spent the last 20 years being an artist and an instructor. That's what I did. I was a mixed media artist. I taught all over the world, internationally, nationally. And, I was kind of a big fish in a very small pond. That's kind of what I like to say. But it is really an amazing experience that I had. Being an artist and a natural creative made it so I got to be around the most amazing people, right? And I love that career. I absolutely adored it and enjoyed it. Truthfully, I got a little bit of burnt out on it before COVID hit, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to change my career because I needed to do something a little deeper. I was just at the point to where I didn't want to teach projects anymore, and I didn't want to teach technique anymore. I needed it to have purpose and meaning and not just be entertainment and enjoyment. Now, in addition to doing that as my job and my work, what I did alongside of it, but I kept it quiet, was my metaphysical studies. So I started studying metaphysics when I was in my early 30s. And that's when I became, I started going and learning about metaphysical concepts, spiritual concepts, and that really put me on my path for spirituality. And I loved it. I became a Reiki master at that point, and I also did my angel card readings and became certified. Okay, but I kind of did that on the side. So now to get back to it, I love it. You guys, you're here. Laura, I want to say hi. Leilani, I want to say hi. I just want to say hi to all of you and say I'm so happy to be back, and I'm so thankful that you are here. Okay, so the reason why I'm telling you a little bit about my story is I want you to know that I have been on a crazy travel schedule. If you guys have been following me and seeing what I've been doing, I have been on a massive travel schedule pretty much since the first of the year in January, all the way up to now. And then I still am going to be going to the Valley for 4 days to be assisting at NLP in Phoenix. If anybody is interested in that and you want to have a 50% off code, just ping me on that one and I will let you know. Or if you want to do NLP anywhere and you want a code for being able to do that, ping me. Okay. But I have that. And then I actually am going to California in August as well. So I had a really crazy travel schedule. I knew what I was setting myself up for in November. And I really looked at it and I really had to make a decision on if I was going to be able to maintain and sustain this travel schedule that I set up for myself. And a lot of it was work, and a lot of it was also personal growth and development. When I went to Hawaii in March and I took my daughter along to learn Huna and to be in that was total personal growth and development. Also helping me just go deeper with my own energy work. So for personal and for you guys. So when I set that up, I really sat down and I put it all out. I'm old school. I put everything I was doing out on my calendar, and I really looked at that and I was like, holy crap, this is a lot. Am I going to have the energy for it? Am I going to be able to sustain this? Am I overdoing it? I tend to like to say yes, so I'm overdoing it, right? So what I do overdo it. And I also really made the decision that I wanted to say yes to my life, and that I knew I had the spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical capacity to do that, as long as I made sure that I also made sure to build in a massive amount of self-care and self-responsibility during the process. And so when I put my whole schedule together, I also made sure that I put a lot of self-love and a lot of self-care in there as well. Because one of the things that I used to do a long time ago, being the nurturer and the divine feminine energy that I love to harness and access, I would always put everybody else's needs before my own, and I would put my own at the very end. And truthfully, it was hurting me. It was really, really hurting me. My physical health was showing, things were happening, and it was really out of alignment with who I am and who I wanted to be. So I put all that in there into my schedule. Now, I want to tell you one more thing, okay? When I was 20 years old, well, first of all, let me go back even further than that. When I was 5, my grandmother died, and she left me a very small inheritance. It was $10,000, and I was 5 years old. And fortunately, it grew over time and it tripled, right? And that was what I was able to go to college on. I come from a very lower middle-class family, kind of blue collar family, with my mother being a stay-at-home mom. So money I have money baggage and I'm working to get over that, right? I've been doing a lot of work on that, but there was a lot of money stories that were told about my family, and nobody else in my family had gone to college. And I was the one that decided I wanted to go to college. Now, there was an opportunity to go to France and to do study abroad, and during my junior and senior year, and I managed to take what I had in the money, what was left of my college, and I went to France and I did that. Now, when I was going around France, this was way back before cell phones, right? This was in the 90s. So when I would go places and I'd get bored, I always had a book, because we didn't have our phones. We didn't have the internet. I didn't have that kind of stuff. So in the old days, what did you do when you were bored? You pulled out and you read a book, right? I started learning poetry. I picked up a poetry book when I was in France in English. And I started picking up and reading poetry and put it in my little bag so I could carry it around with me. And I remember reading Mary Oliver, and I remember reading poetry, and it changed my life. And the one quote that really stuck with me when I was 20 years old was, "What are you going to do with your one wild and precious life?" Right? What are you going to do with your one wild and precious life? And that really resonated with me. And because of the stories of my family, and because of the way that I was raised with my family, I'm glad I chose them. They were amazing. It wasn't always wonderful, and yet there was a lot of love there, and they taught me a lot. And because of that, I knew I wanted to do something different than the way that I was being raised. And I wanted to create opportunities for my life, for travel and creativity. And I was incredibly curious. My curiosity has served me really well through my whole entire life. And I made a decision at that time that I was really going to live, fully live my one wild and precious life. Okay. So fast forward to my life and what I do now and what's happening, and things are, what's going on with me. I have friends of mine that have watched my last 6 months, and they have said to me, "I don't know how you're doing it. Are you okay? Are you managing to stay grounded? I've got some of them that are NLP trained. So they're asking me, they're really checking with me to see if I'm running away from things or if I'm running towards things. So they're checking for emotional baggage, limiting beliefs, all that stuff, which we do when we're trained, right? And we're certified in it. And truthfully, I am clear. Like, I am so clear on it. I know who I am. I know what I want to do. I know what I want to see, and I'm clear on it. And I did it because I learned a lot about neuroscience in the last couple of years. And one of the things I learned was about this term capacity. Okay, here's where it comes back to you. And this is where I really want you to hear me right now. And this is really what the Love and Learn is about. So, capacity. What is your capacity for love? What is your capacity for abundance? What is your capacity for prosperity? What is your capacity for physical health? What are the stories that you have learned? What are the things that you're telling yourself? And how is that limiting or enhancing your capacity? Capacity literally means how much energy do you have? How much spiritual energy, mental energy, physical energy, emotional energy do you have to put into your life? And what are you doing with your one wild and precious life? Okay. So I knew that I'm an empath. I've told you that, right? I'm a sensitive and I'm an empath. I have incredible sensory acuity. I feel things. I feel all the feels. I feel waves of energy. And because of that, and because of my past of soaking that all in, I would get tired when I was teaching at these art events, and I was teaching, 7, 8 classes, and I would go day and night teaching the classes, and I'd have 30, 35 students all the time. I would have to come home and literally put myself to bed for like 3 or 4 days because I did not have the physical capacity to maintain the amount of energy I was putting out. And even with my Reiki training, but I wasn't using it. You can learn all of this stuff. You can be a massive input output person. You can be curious, you can have intellectual stimulation, but if you don't embody it and don't integrate it and use it, then, it's just knowledge. It's not actually used. So I wasn't using my Reiki at that time. I was just coming and going and working really hard on my life, on my career at the time. So I would come home and I'd be exhausted. So one of the things that I really learned doing NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and also positive psychology and a lot of the other things I've been studying, along with neuroscience and the physical body, is that we all have a capacity. And like a muscle, you can build your capacity. Okay. I mean, I know some of you guys, I have people on here that, have autoimmune issues, have physical health challenges, have, depression, other things that are happening. And I am not discounting or making light of any of those things and those challenges you are going through. And I am here to tell you that our minds are so powerful that energy flows where our intention goes and our attention goes. And when you put your attention and intention into what you really want in your life, right? And you do the things that you need to do to get there, you will make progress. You will be able to live your one wild and precious life in the way you want to, even with these challenges, right? You can overcome your challenges. You really can. You may not be, you compare it to an athlete or other people, you may never be there, but really, who the hell do you want to compare yourself to anyway, right? You don't need to compare yourself to anybody. Just be yourself. And then find the people out there who you respect, who are doing the things that you want to do, who are authentic in their being. Find out how they're doing it and model it, right? Just find out what you can do, but make sure that the people that you're following are being authentic and are walking their walk and talking their talk, okay? That's really what I want to tell you. So I made a decision that I was going to build my capacity. And that is why I said yes. I said not only yes, but I said hell yes, heck yes. I am going to do this, and I'm going to figure out a way to do it and build in a way that I don't make myself exhausted from it. Okay. It's just like training for a marathon. I trained for a marathon, and that's what I did. And there were times, I'm not going to lie, there were times where it was back to back to back. And I wasn't able to talk to my friends, and I was too busy. I mean, over busy, but I knew it. And I explained to my girlfriends before this all happened, hey, look, I'm choosing to do this thing right now. And I'm going to be, I'm going to be unavailable for a while. And I will make sure that when I get done with this and I come to completion energy, I will be back and I will be there for you, and I will be doing what I need to be doing again. So I made a promise to myself that this was for a finite amount of time so I can come back into my infinite life. Okay. Okay. Let me just see if there's anything else I want to tell you. Okay, capacity and saying yes. So that's really it. So just look at what you're saying no to, look at what you're saying yes to, stretch yourself, understand that growth comes from stretching yourself. If you are staying too comfortable, you're not growing, okay? If growth is a value for you, and it doesn't have to be, okay? Everybody's individual, you do you, boo, you do you, boo. For me, growth is a value, and I do want to be growing and expanding. In order for me to continue to grow and expand, I need to make sure that I push myself outside of my comfort zone and I go to the edge of my comfort zone so I can start having new experiences. Now, on that, I want to give you one other little piece of advice. It is awesome to be in growth mode, and it is awesome to push yourself to the edge so you can grow. And you have a nervous system, right? It runs the physical body. Your nervous system, your unconscious mind runs your physical body, and it needs to feel safe. That is really important. Fear is a very difficult emotion, and anxiety can happen. A lot of things can happen if you push yourself to the point where it's too far, that you feel so far out of your comfort zone that you start to get scared. Okay. So you want to walk that very fine, delicate balance between growth and fear. Okay. And the last thing I want to tell you is, if you are doing all the things, right? If you are doing everything that you need to do and you're really wanting to set a goal for yourself, but no matter what happens, you keep coming against stumbling blocks, or something happens and you just go back into your old ways, it is not your fault. You are not doing anything wrong. You just simply have some gunk in your pipes, right? You've got something in the way. And that's where the emotional work, the mental emotional release, what I learned about, the things that are happening to just kind of get some of that gunk out of the way. You guys, life provides gunk. Think about it. It's like a pipe, right? Your pipes can run really clear, but then there also can be just kind of stuff sticking to the edge of the pipe. If you are not reaching the goals that you want to be reaching, you're just having parts in your, emotional, physical, mental bodies, spiritual body, that's just having a hard time squeezing through the gunk. So, you can do that work on your own. It's fine. You can do it. You can read books. You can do the time investment. You can get a coach, you can get a mental emotional release with me. It doesn't matter. Just be willing to do the work and know that if you want to get to the other side, there is some things that you need to do to get there. Okay.